New at 4 now, U.S. Attorney General Jeanine Pirro calls it a whole other level of crime, a drug sale going down with children inside at an elementary school nearby. Today, she announced the indictment of more than a dozen people in connection with the sale of crack and powder cocaine in D.C.'s Washington Highlands neighborhood. And while she says it's good to get the dealers off the streets, she says D.C. is lacking another law that would also keep kids safe. News 4's Paul Wagner was at Pirro's news conference this afternoon. Paul, what is she saying?
Well, today, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro said that the 4th Street gang had been selling crack cocaine, cocaine base, fentanyl, and marijuana around the Henley School, as well as 3 child care centers since December of 2024. That's when D.C. police began their investigation because they had seen an uptick in violent crime. And today, hundreds of officers executed as many as 30 search warrants. The 4th Street crew sold its drugs, according to the U.S. Attorney, in a neighborhood that included Chesapeake Street, 4th Street, and 6th Street, and did it in the presence of child and their parents as they came to and from school and 3 child care centers. Jeanine Pirro said more than 20 people were involved in the conspiracy, and others had previously been arrested before this morning's raids. The operation included more than 500 officers executing more than 30 search warrants. Of the 14 arrested today, 9 are from D.C. and 5 are from Maryland and range in age from 21 to 43 years old. 4 were already under court supervision. Jeanine Pirro said at the news conference the prosecution is, quote, part of an unrelenting crackdown on drug traffickers who treat the streets like their personal profit centers.
Man, this is super bold, man. It seems like this has been going on for a long time, probably even longer than when it became like apparent to law enforcement that this was actually happening. But as you can see from the picture that's on the screen, the square is the drug operation zone, and within 300 feet of where a lot of the drugs were being sold, you had Henley Elementary School, and you also had looks like 2 childcare centers, 3 actually. If you look more north, there was a third. So um it's crazy, man, how bold people are. And they have fentanyl laced drugs and just very, very harmful stuff. And parents and children were bearing witness to this actually going down there. um it's crazy how bold people have become these days.
Crackdown on drug traffickers who treat the streets like their personal profit centers. She then walked to a blown up surveillance photo of a drug sale to make her point.
Look at this, man. You got the 2 little ones, man, walking by. And you got these guys just out there, man, don't even care, broad daylight, hanging on the rail, sitting on the wooden curve. And um just just being a detriment to the neighborhoods, being a detriment to the community. And where's the protest for this type of stuff? People will get out here and they'll be protesting all this stuff that really don't matter. But you got people that's like right here in the school zone selling drugs right in front of the kids as the kids are trying to walk away, or trying to walk by. And I don't see any outrage for this. I don't see this becoming a trending topic on social media or anything like that. So that's my whole thing about people when there's selective outrage. It's just like y'all are mad at certain things and y'all try to bait race wars and things like that. But when you have this type of imagery where it's clear as day what's going on, and these guys are just hanging around, and you have kids that are literally walking by, no one is going to mention this at all, you know. And I'm glad that law enforcement is taking action, and hopefully, um, everybody that's within local government in DC, is seeing this, and they'll put forth an effort to try to mitigate it as much as they can, because let's be real. I mean, this type of stuff has been going on for a long time, and it's a lot of ground to cover. So they'll be able to do what they can, but it's this is just absolute. It's hard. It's pretty heartbreaking to see. These guys have no remorse for the fact that you have children just walking by. You know, and not only that, man, just the influence, and anything can happen. I mean, you could mess around and drop, a little packy or something like that, or something that, a kid gets it and curious, and, messes around and ingests it, then, they end up, it end up being a fatal situation. So, yeah, I mean, this is going on in DC. Um, this is just one of the places where it's highlighted. I noticed that there's a lot of drug busts happening in Georgia, North Carolina, Florida. It's a lot of different busts and things like that that's taking place. But just for every bus that you see, it's probably hundreds, what I'm saying, thousands that's going on in other places. So, um, it's just one of those things, man. This right here, I can't even find a joke to make or a way to, lighten up the what I'm seeing here, man. And just see, a bunch of people who think they're going to end up getting rich off doing this stuff when really they the lowest on the totem pole, and they'll never end up seeing the prosperity that they think they'll see by doing this type of stuff.
And this poster over here, we have the sale of drugs in broad daylight in Washington Highlands. Right here, we have circled the actual sale of cocaine. This woman, after she buys the cocaine, takes this child by the hand and walks away. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's a crime.
When the U.S. Attorney pointed to that woman, she said it was a woman with gray hair, indicating that it may have been the child's grandmother. We don't know that for sure at this point. But one other point, the police today said it took 165 buys, that is drug buys, to get this going. Keep in mind, this started in December of 24, and here we are in June of 26. Took all that time to put this together. As far as the point about Jeanine Pirro saying she needed some additional help, what she was referring to was child endangerment laws and the statute that's now in place. She said more needs to be done, and she says she's going to be sending a letter to the D.C. City Council.
Yeah, I mean, at least the U.S. attorney there is, trying her best to like bring some type of change and try to clean up DC as much as she can. Um, she seems to have an eagle's eye for this type of stuff. Um, but a lot of it really has to start in the community. As they was pointing out in the picture, the lady, um, you know, you can see the silver gray hair on the lady if you look closely into the picture. And yeah, I mean, the child is sitting over there, you know, looking at it, trying not to look at it, but she knows what's going on, and that could be her mother, it could be her grandmother, could be an aunt or just a guardian, who knows. But it's a shame, man, for something to have that type of hold on you to where you're doing this in front of your little one, someone that's obviously looking up to you and obviously looking at you as, some type of, protection and and guardian and just an adult figure in their life, and I bet she went and purchased that from these gentlemen before even getting this baby something to eat, and that's really the sad part, so just trying to do a video here to kind of highlight what the U.S. attorney, for DC is trying to do to like clean up DC a little bit. Um, like I said, I can recall, going to DC several times, and like this type of stuff definitely happens in broad daylight, and knowing that it's happening around the kids, man, that's something that definitely has to stop. But let me know what you guys think about it. Make sure you leave a comment. I try my best to read every comment that comes in. Sometimes, I'll be able to reply. Most times I'm definitely going to give you a heart, to show you that, I seen the comment. And I really do appreciate you taking your time to comment on the videos. Looking to continue to grow the channel. There's this type of content where we, doing reactions to the news. It's content I noticed demographically that, certain people, maybe I'll say 30 and younger, not really into this type of content. But, I do appreciate everyone who does watch, and this type of stuff is important because this is what's actually going on outside our doors, So just want to highlight this, make sure I bring it to everyone's attention and kind of give a different opinion than, the news anchors are just really breaking the story. They're not really giving an opinion on it. But um, this right here is definitely heartbreaking. But make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more. This is Justin Paul. Peace.